Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Penapple and today I'm building a house for a green witch, which I guess is sort of like an eco-friendly type witch. But yeah, if you're interested in this build, you can download it off of the gallery. My origin ID is penappleYT. So I actually had some real life inspiration for this build, so I will put up a picture right now of the actual house I built it off of, which I discovered when I was on a walk and I thought it looked really cute. And at the same time I was on my walk, I was listening to an audiobook, which is my favorite form of exercising, is walking and listening to an audiobook. And the audiobook is called The Girl, well, it's a book, actual book too, but The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and I think it's a children's book, but whatever. I'm 23, I'm almost 24, I can listen to children's books if I want, right? But I was listening to that when I saw this house and I kind of thought it was good. In the book there's a witch who lives with her granddaughter, and so this is not exactly what I thought their house would look like, but just kind of an inspiration, a mashup of a real life house that I've made into a sort of fairy tale version, and I love how this turned out. I think this looks really cool. Why did I say it like that? Oh gosh. But I am officially in the new apartment. Praise bejesus. Gosh, I hope that wasn't offensive. Anyways, we're in the new apartment. It's not completely unpacked, but we've made a very valiant effort so far. We're still not done with the old apartment, like we need to clean it and stuff so we get our money back, which I'm actually pretty good at. In all the apartments I've ever lived in, I've always gotten all my money back. There was a very awkward time when I lived with 3 roommates and they all moved out before I did, and they didn't get all of their money back, and I moved out last and I cleaned this place spotless and I got all my money back, and it was a bit awkward. They were kind of mad at me, but in my defense, they didn't help clean. They all said they would help clean, all 3 of them, and when the time came, they were nowhere to be found because I killed them. No, I didn't. What am I even saying? Oh goodness, it's been a while, hasn't it, guys? Hasn't it? But getting back to the build at hand, I had so much fun picking out the windows for this place. It was a bit of a struggle at first. With the original, the house I based this off of, the windows were, pretty normal, pretty symmetric. But in this case, I wanted the windows to be very whimsical. And for the tower thing, that was the hardest because I wanted to have windows all the way around, but it looked off. It just looked a little bit off, and so I ended up making it more off by kind of off-centering all the windows, making them look kind of eccentric. But I do like how that turned out. Here you can see I figured out I wanted this window because it has green in it, but it just looked too symmetric, so I keep those 3 big ones, but then here you can see I'm going a little haywire with the rest of the window position, and I used that same window but turned it inside out to create a new effect, and I do like how that looks too. But yeah, this house obviously follows a very green and brown sort of color scheme, and I love how it turned out. Like, the wood patterns or the wood colors are a little bit off, but I think it turned out okay. And so here I am building another porch section, and this is going to wrap around a tree. Isn't that cool? I love that. And so I ended up clearing this space and I put a tree in the middle of it, and my parents' house, they built their porch around a tree, and at my grandma's house they did that once, and so I really like the idea. The only problem with that though is, at least in my parents' house, they made the hole for the tree too small, and now the tree is growing. It's not just growing upwards, it's growing outwards, and so it's starting to run into the porch. So the first thing they did was they took the trim off of it, but soon, I don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna have to cut a bigger hole in the porch. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, not my concern. Not my concern at all. I don't even live there anymore. Score. But yes. Here, I thought this was interesting. I didn't want to add a window there, but it looked kind of blank, so I ended up putting a pillar in the middle, and I just thought it added a cool sort of architectural sort of interest. But yeah, I wasn't quite sure how I wanted the floor plan quite yet, but you can definitely see the windows are all over the place. I didn't even try and think of the floor plan when I was doing this. I just kind of went whole hog. I just put windows where I wanted them, and I ended up making the floor plan fit, which is maybe not the best route to go, but it worked out in the end. I think it did. But yeah, I also wanted to make sure there weren't any sections that were like too concentrated color-wise. So at first I thought the porch would look good if it was all green, but adding that sort of brown sort of adds that contrast. And I did the same thing with the stairs. You can see some of the stairs are green, some of them are brown. And so the brown staircases get green railings and the green staircases get brown railings. Yes. But yeah, whew, I am running out of breath, running out of conversation. I'm going to talk about my new place. If you do not like hearing YouTubers talk about their lives, this is probably not the build for you, just because it's a long one and I don't really know what else to say other than this floor plan drove me up the wall and changed multiple times. Yep, multiple times. But the new place, I love it. I really do like it. It's a lot smaller than our old place, but we've been adjusting and I think it's all gonna work out. Like, we need to find a place for everything, but I think in the end it's gonna go okay. If you don't know, I moved to Seattle, yay! And so it's really weird because now I live in Seattle, and that's so weird for me. I grew up not in the city. I grew up in an area where we would see the deer more than our neighbors. So it's very different. I would always laugh at people when they get really excited when they see deer, which I shouldn't because that's mean, but that's just how often I saw deer. Like, it was a super common occurrence. And I also grew up with my parents being very afraid of Seattle. Like, they instilled a very strong fear of the big city in me. Like, because my dad hates driving here, and he's very vocal about things he does not like. And so he would get very frustrated whenever we would drive through Seattle, and it was always very scary for me. So I still haven't shaken off that fear because I am selling my car. I am not driving in Seattle. I mean, it's not just that. They have such a great bus system here, so that'll make things a little bit easier. And I just don't want to have to worry about it, and I don't want to have to pay extra for parking, and so I'm selling my car, but mostly because I have a deeply ingrained fear of driving in Seattle. Anyways, here's the kitchen. Not my favorite kitchen. It's kind of a teeny tiny kitchen, but I think it works out. I wish it was greener. Wish it was either greener or browner. I don't know. It kind of got away from me a little, mostly because I think I shoehorned. Ooh, goodness. I don't know. But I think I kind of backed myself into a corner there just because there's no really green tile or I picked, the only sort of vintage looking green cabinetry. I really should have gone with that stuff from Vampire. Oh, goodness. The decisions, the changes you make. But yeah, the layout is a little bit cramped. This living room is teeny tiny. It purposefully doesn't have a TV. I figured that this would be too outdoorsy for that. But I like how it turned out. When I was doing this, I was definitely thinking of Taz. She's another simmer. I love her. I'm going to link her Twitter just because her stuff is amazing. A couple of us have been trying to convince her to hop over to YouTube and make sweet builds because that would be awesome. But she has a very colorful and cluttered sort of decor. And so I was definitely trying to emulate that in a couple ways, so I thought I'd give her a little bit of a shout out. I don't think I did it very well though, at least not comparatively. It's not quite as colorful and cluttered, but I made a stab at it. And I do like how it turned out. This house ends up having 2 bathrooms, which is surprising, mostly because the upstairs bedroom is teeny tiny. It's very small. I do not imagine an adult staying in that. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm yawning. Oof. I stayed up really late last night. Very, very late. And I shouldn't have. But here you can see this is finally what the layout's going to be. And so I have an office. Actually takes up more room than the bedroom. And so I kind of saw the bedroom as more of like a guest room almost. Oh gosh, I'm saying a lot. But it's also interesting though, because you can look into the master bedroom from the second floor, which is a little awkward in a way, but I love the master bedroom and how you got a 3-story roof. You can, oh gosh, you look up and it'd just be so pretty, wouldn't it? And I thought it was very magical. So I like how it turned out, and I do like how I did the clutter in here. I did end up, I realized when I was doing the recording of the panoramic shots that I didn't actually leave enough room for Sims to walk around, so I did kind of tweak stuff in there. Nothing was deleted, but it is just slightly shifted, and so that will be the actual version that goes up on the gallery, is the one that you can actually play in. But yeah, speaking of filming the intro, I completely forgot to tell you that I actually did a little tutorial for how I shoot my intros using this build. I don't know if it's at all helpful. But that should be going up soonish. I'm not quite sure on what my schedule is because everything is very up in the air right now, but I did that, and then I also did another video on how I put together the footage that I film for my panoramic shots. That one is a lot longer. I haven't edited it yet, but I'm sure I spend so much time just like with my mouth open. Not that you can see me, but my mouth is for sure open, and in my head, this is the sound I'm making. As I'm trying to figure everything out. And so I will end up cutting out a lot of the pausing and a fair amount of the replaying the intro over and over again. Because, oh my gosh, you guys, I played the intro like probably 50 times, like easy, before I finally settle on the final version. And even then I watch it a couple times just to make sure I really, really like it. I am a bit obsessed. I'm a very much perfectionist, and I think that's kind of a good thing because I love the finished product. It's something I'm really proud of. It's something that I think is really polished, but it does also mean I spend a lot of time going in my brain. As my brain like slowly starts to fry, as I'm like overthinking every little detail, like, wait, do I want this 1 second sooner or 1 second after? Wait, is this transition too long or too short? Oh goodness. But we are getting too much into the tutorial aspect of this. I think we're almost actually done with the interior. There was actually a lot of landscaping. No, we're not anywhere close to done with the interior. What am I even saying? Oof. But yeah, we moved into the new apartment, and it's really nice. It has, I think it's fake hardwood floor, but it's still really pretty. And it's like a really nice dark brown, and the walls are like super white. Like in the last place, our walls were more of like an off-white cream color, and these ones are very, 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 very bright white, which actually is a little bit problematic because I have a dresser that is cream colored, and I thought it was white, but when you put it up against these walls, it actually kind of looks dingy now. But I love that dresser. Like, it is gorgeous, so I'm keeping it. But I had an idea where I might actually get a tapestry, probably from like Society 6 or 9, whichever one of those, and hang it behind there to sort of give it some space from the really bright white wall. And so I told my mom that, and she was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And I took that to mean, cha-ching, I'm gonna go buy that now. So I haven't actually bought it yet, but yeah. Oh my goodness. My birthday's coming up. I'm excited. It's August 16th. And I don't have any plans, really. I have an Amazon wish list, but I don't really know. No, correction. I know exactly what I want. I want a really fancy keyboard. Am I going to get it? I have no idea. First, I would have to really just go like smart shopping, which I haven't had time to do yet, so I don't know. They're expensive, and so it'd be good for my parents, but I don't know. I actually played piano for 10 years. That's part of in the tutorial video, I actually talked about how I have a music minor, and so I have a music minor and I focused on piano. So, but I haven't played the piano in like 4 years, and part of the reason for that is because majoring in music and being graded on playing the piano really killed it for me. Like, oh, it was so rough, you guys. Like, it was right when it was my first year of college, right when I was really discovering the depths of my anxiety. But no joke, it was really rough. Like, I would need to practice at least an hour every day, really, more if possible. And so I'd go into these practice rooms, which, by the way, were in the dungeons. They were like underground, no natural lighting, so creepy. But I'd go in there and I'd sit down at the piano, start my warm-up, probably get about 10 or 15 minutes in, and then I'd just start having a panic attack. And then I would spend the next 15 minutes trying to calm myself down, and then I would go back to playing the music, and it would just kind of keep going like that. I would alternate between practicing and panicking, and it was so hard. I was so hard on myself. Like, oof. Like, I'm glad I got that minor because it was really interesting, but it was rough. It was so rough. Especially because it was more like I was double majoring in my first year. Like, after I was done with the minor, I was done, you know? But it's just, you had to take basically the same year as the majors. So it was really rough. And what didn't help is, so I play piano, but I don't play piano very well. And so they had 2 piano classes. It was required to take piano, whatever focus you had, and so there was the beginners, remedial, and then there was the advanced, and so I was in the advanced, and I was the lowest of the low in the advanced. If I had been in the remedial course, I would have been like the star pupil, like A++. I would have been like ace in everything, you know, like rolling in and stuff, being really cool. But no, I struggled. And it was so frustrating because we do stuff like sight reading, which is where you have never seen the music before and you just start reading it and playing it at the same time, which I'm very bad at. And so, like, I would practice doing that or like other stuff, and I'd practice and I'd come in and I would do not super great, and then next to me would be like the other students, and they'd be like, oh man, I didn't practice at all and it sounds so much better than mine. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so frustrating. Like, I'd spend like an hour working on something and make all of these mistakes, and then this person would come in and be like, oh, I didn't study at all, and then they'd do it flawlessly. Oh gosh, that was a rough time. Oh my goodness, it really was though. Oof. But yeah, so I totally skipped over while I was talking about playing the piano, I totally skipped over the bedroom. It's very tiny. There's not a lot going on in there. There's mostly a bed and a little desk, but I thought it kind of looked cute. Like, I thought it looked like if it was a kid's room, I figured that they'd be playing outside anyways. And so if you wanted to, you could add more children's toys. And then if it's like more of a guest room, you know, then I don't know. I just imagine the people spending more time outside than they do inside. And I like the dining table is actually outside, and it's not because I forgot room for it inside. No. I totally just forgot room for it inside. Like, I really did. Like, I think I could have squashed it in there, but I was like, oh, they're eco people, they like to eat outside, wink wink. Covering up your mistakes and make them look good, which actually is a very, very big part of really any performance, but especially music, is It's actually pretty funny. I was trained on how to turn a mistake into something, to either moving past it really fast or making it look purposeful. And so part of that involved, so let's say I was playing Moonlight Sonata, there are multiple sections of it, and so I would learn each section individually and then how to piece them together. So if I messed up, like, or I got stuck, I could repeat the section, and then, like, I don't know, it was just so weird. Like, I can't even describe it, but basically if you forgot where you were in the piece, you could just finish whatever section you were on and then go to an arbitrary next section, potentially. Like, if you forgot, like, the middle piece, you could just, like, move past it, which is really bizarre. Like, I don't even... Oh my goodness. But yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about piano a lot in this, but I miss it. That's part of why I want the keyboard so badly. My parents have a really nice piano at home. It's an upright Steinway. Oh, it's my heart. It's my dream. It's my love. But yeah. So I started playing when I was like in 2nd grade, and I had a very easygoing, laid-back teacher, which I think was good for me. And it wasn't until I was in high school that I decided that I wanted to take playing piano more seriously, and that was also when that teacher retired, and so I found a new one who was very, very hardcore, but she was also just fantastic. And so she inspired me to continue it as a minor in college, which then is about where I crashed because it became too hardcore. But yeah, back to the build. I use this sort of magical tree, and this is actually a base game. You have to go into bb.show hidden objects. It's in the by debug mode, and I think I just search for tree and you find it. And so I don't know if you can actually interact with it. I didn't test that, but you can find it in Willow Creek in the not on the lots, and you can go visit a mystical world if you go explore that tree, which if you haven't, I highly recommend. It's really interesting. I should build something in that world. Yeah, I really should. Ooh, ideas. But yeah, so, where am I? Oh, this little artist nook. Can we talk about how cute that is? I'm really proud of that little nook. I think that's perfect. There's lots of like little nooks in this, and I really love it. I think it turned out very whimsical and fairy tale like, and I'm so proud of it. The book that I'm reading, I'm not done with it yet, so don't spoil it. The Girl Who Drank the Moon is very interesting. I do think that it is a children's book, but I don't know if I care. I obviously do, since I mentioned it twice, but I don't know. I've been wanting to get more into reading, which I'm hoping I can do more now that we have actually live really close to a section of the library. So I'm really, really hoping to like get a library card and do that fun thing. But here, this little statue is actually an homage to the book, because in the book, there's a character who folds paper birds, like not just cranes, but all different types of birds, and they kind of come to life and they move around and they maybe cut people. One person, he didn't deserve it. I feel really bad for him. Anyways, they're usually nice. Maybe. It depends on whether or not you make the woman who makes them mad. But that's sort of an homage to it. And so even though it's a really modern piece, I tried to fit it in there anyways by sort of hiding the sort of metal base, and I think it turned out okay. But here is, I sort of landscaped this like tree area to make it more interesting and to give it more of a reason for why there's a giant space around the tree, because I could have made that hole a lot smaller and given the deck more room, but I liked how that looked aesthetically, so I wanted to give it more of a reason. But that tree was such a pain in the butt. Like, it kept poking through the house, and I'm like, don't just stop. Don't do that to me. Just stop. And yeah. It took some effort. I did make this a fountain instead of a pool, just because I didn't want any Sims to like somehow start swimming in it and drown. Yeah, that'd be bad. So it's a fountain. You can't swim in it. we're all good. And I also added that fish pond over there. I also found that in the buy debug mode. I've done that a couple times before. I really like it because it adds a nice natural looking pond instead of, because it's actually round. It's not like octagonal. It doesn't have corners, for Pete's sake. Just give us round things, Sims. Oh goodness. I also look at this little fairy statue. It's like she's like playing in the water or something. Oh, my heart. Yeah. I feel sometimes the worst commentary is when you love the build so much that you just can't stop talking about how much you love the build, especially because then it sounds really like, ho ho ho, look at me, look at the thing I've created. Yes, fawn over me. Fawn over me now, tell me how good it is. No, but actually I really do. I kind of live off of comments, positive comments. Like, they make my day. I can be kind of slow responding to them, but I usually actually read them pretty shortly after you guys write them, and then they make me so happy and I smile, and then I forget to respond to them and I have to go back later. But I do love them so much. Keep doing it. I mean, if you want to. You don't have to. But I had a lot of fun. Well, actually, no, I didn't. This part was a little arduous. I wanted to make this a sort of foresty area, and I wanted it to fit into both the surrounding area but also really look wooded, because the surrounding area is sort of rural but it's not really wooded, and I didn't want to build this in granite balls just because that's a pain in and of itself, building there. So I wanted to kind of merge everything, and I think it did okay, and I like all of the little extra grasses I did popping up, and I think it turned out fine. But it did kind of leave me at a bit of a loss of what to do with the rest of the landscaping of the build. And it wasn't until like midway through that I really found a direction that I just ended up loving, and I recreated it in multiple spots. Here's another spot. This is an example of where I really had no idea. That corner, the front corner, I was like, what am I going to do here? I also had a little bit of a thought. There are these big mushrooms that came with the get to work. I made the mistake in my last build. I mixed get together and get to work, and yes, I did get your comments. But yeah, so I thought of maybe making like a fairy ring, a mushroom ring, but they're just so big, so I decided not to. But here is where I sort of extended out the landscaping from the forest in a sort of curved mark, and it sort of like outlines the area of where the fountain or the pool is, the pond. I like how it took me 2 words to get to there. And so then I ended up recreating that in lots of like little crescent moons, which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, really fits the book, because one of the main characters has a crescent moon red birthmark on her forehead, which kind of terrifies me because in the book it describes when she gets mad it gets redder, and like what? Like, I can't imagine, like, I guess, I mean, when you get mad your like face blushes, but other than that I can't imagine having like a visible like almost like a button or something, or like a light that's like, I'm angry now, like, look at I don't even know what I'm talking about. But I love this statue. Isn't it like you know, we got a lot of statues in the Get Together expansion pack. You know, when we're talking about expansion packs and building, I'd really have to give it to Get Together, because they added so much stuff. It's amazing. They added so many little architectural details, and a lot of them was the like it added modern, but at the same time it added this fairy tale sort of cookie cutter, not cookie cutter, gingerbread, you know, sort of old-fashioned Tudor style, and that is just such a great juxtaposition, and I don't know how they pulled that off. Honestly, like, I think City Living is my favorite expansion, but for building wise, it's Get Together, because they really just, they hit the nail on the head building wise, and which is kind of rare for them to do. They kind of ignore us poor builders. At least I guess that's just what it seems like. I feel like probably people who are really into casts feel like they never add enough casts, and people who are really into like actually playing the game and not just building and doing other stuff probably really want more interactions and stuff. But give us more building. We're the builders are really the most important ones, right? No, I'm totally kidding. But I loved adding these little swirly patterns. I think it definitely added to the whimsical vibe, and it really kind of made the place just super cute. I like how it looks, and it makes it look extra cute from the top down view. But yeah, I feel like I've really rambled in this voiceover, but in my defense, it has been a while since I recorded. But I hope to keep on recording. I'm so excited to be in the new place. I seem to have gotten the setup okay. Yeah, it's different. I changed my desk actually. We decided that we don't need a dining room table, so I took that as my desk now. We just eat on the sofa. Very, very millennial, and I love it. I added these little lights here. There actually used to be a feature, I think, in The Sims 3 where you could add the lights onto the railings of the fences, and I actually really miss that. And so I thought that would look really good here, so I added it. But anyways, I have run out of time to ramble, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, feel free to give me a like, a comment, or subscribe, especially if you're interested in being notified as when the next video is. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a really great day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!